Welcome to Live and Thrive, where our entire purpose is to watch you thrive as you achieve your goals and life purpose. Today, Tony will be sharing with us on coaching and mentoring. Tony, you know one thing that comes to my mind when I think about coaching and mentoring, that is teaching. I just think teaching when I think coaching, mentoring. So how are these two related?
All right, hello, folks. Good to be here. Let me start by saying that on this channel, we are trying to give you the tools with which to survive, not just to survive, but to thrive. And in order for you to thrive, you need to perform at your very best, meaning that you might need to build skills, which is learning. Of course, it's not so far from teaching. One of the ways we can learn new things is through this coaching and mentoring. Now, you'll find that a lot of times these two terms are interwoven and misunderstood. Often people misrepresent the two. So let's try and get an idea of how the two work. With coaching, you are looking at improving your performance toward a specific goal. An example will be a salesman who feels if he knows how to do presentations better, he will become an overall good salesman. So he can get a coach to teach him how to make presentations. And one you might be familiar with are sporting teams, for example. They get coaches to help them with specific targets, like maybe they want to win a championship. On the other hand, mentoring tends to focus on broader skills. It's not just to know how to score a goal or to know how to do a specific thing. They are building like a total person, more like. So they do this through counsel, through regular interactions. Usually it's on a prolonged basis. A very famous mentoring relationship was between Maya Angelou and Oprah Winfrey. Incidentally, they met while Oprah Winfrey was a young journalist interviewing Maya, who was a very reputable and reputed poet at the time. And somehow they connected. So that is the first thing about mentors and mentoring. There's usually a connection between them, more than just a regular relationship. And there's a bonding that takes place. And Oprah was noted to have said that some of the best advice that changed her life and career was given by Maya, who she called a mother, a sister, and a friend. So in short, coaching is usually short-term, it's focused and structured. At times, coaching could be, we'll do something on a daily basis, you meet a coach on a daily basis or a weekly basis, whereas mentoring does not follow any specific order. And mostly, another thing to note about mentoring is that they don't set any routines and it's mostly voluntary. So it's not as if you're just going to go somewhere and say, hey, I need a mentor and get it. With a coach, you can do that, but with a mentor, it's usually two people get together and find, oh, I can learn from this senior person. You just build that relationship and start to learn from them. So that is the basic distinguishing feature of coaching and mentoring.
Interesting. Obviously, in order to thrive in life and succeed, like Oprah Winfrey, everyone needs a coach or a mentor at different times. So how do you know to decide what you really need at specific times?
Okay, so now that we have seen that one is more short-termish and specific and purposeful, the other one is to build overall character. The first thing you need to know in deciding whether a coach is more appropriate or a mentor is to first examine what is it you are really trying to achieve. An example would be maybe a world-class tennis player who has seen another tennis player, maybe a retired one, and they build a relationship where the older one tries to tell him why he has not been winning championships, how he has to put his head in the right place during those competitions. He knows that he has the talent, but he's just not delivering the goods because of some mental thing. He might also be working with a coach who maybe helps him make sure that his serves are more efficient or faster or better placed. So the goal you wish to achieve is the first thing that will help you determine whether it's a mentor you need or a coach. Now, usually when you need a coach, you could be already a professional or just a beginner in whatever it is you are trying to learn. The coach will try and build the specific skill that you want. One of the things I just remember now is I play golf. And when I was starting, I got a coach to teach me how to swing and all that. But even now that I play a lot better, occasionally I still approach a coach to help me with some specific areas where I have problems. So the job usually is, okay, maybe we take 2 or 3 sessions. On the first sessions, he looks at the way what I'm doing wrong. Second session, he tries to give me some tips on how to improve it. And the third session, we would agree on, okay, I've now made these changes to my swing and I'm a better person. So that's one of the things about getting a coach. Another way you know that you need a coach is maybe there's something that's a gap, just like I told you about the golf thing. You have noticed a gap in your performance and you just want to fix that gap. Or maybe there's a new development in whatever business you are in. You could actually look for a coach to help you navigate that new area and just build your skills to be able to navigate that area. But the thing to note is if whatever you're trying to do is a short-term thing, then a coach is what you need. But if, however, what you are looking at is your life or your career, then a mentor will be more appropriate. In fact, most professions have a mentoring system embedded in them. Like if you went into, say, you graduated in a medical school, you are required, before you can get your own license, to be nurtured by an experienced doctor who will show you not just the craft of being a doctor, but the arts and the social parts of it. It's only when that person approves of your performance that you can now be certified. And one other area where you might need a mentor is when you are looking at developing yourself into a leader in your field. Don't forget, for you to thrive, you need to be a leader, by the way. So it's always good to find somebody who has done way more than you, who will give you all those pointers as you go along in life. And one other thing that you need to also thrive is where you are moving skills from older generation to the younger generation. And that's also where mentoring comes into play.
Amazing. So thanks for giving that clarity. Now I know coaching is short-term, goal specific with measurable outcomes, while mentoring, on the other hand, is more long-term and broader in view. So now we know this. How do I know I'm getting value in a coaching, mentoring, relationship, and all that? Yes.
Okay, so this is what happens. Most times in sports, we are all very familiar with this. when a coach is not letting the team perform better, they just sack him and get a new coach. So most times, a bad coach will not deliver the goods. That is improvement in performance. But oftentimes, you can tell that a coach is not performing when he doesn't show sufficient skill, for example, or is not supportive of your efforts. Is maybe always attacking you instead of being there to say, okay, you almost got that right. Now you tried slightly slower this time. They work in a supportive way. And a good coach will also be observant. He quickly notes things that you can do. They do it in a respectful way, and they usually give feedback. So when all these things are in play, you're likely to have a good coaching outcome. In the case of mentoring, there is a lot of social elements involved. So the relationship, the communications are very critical where you are talking about mentoring. So a good mentor is listening very attentively to the mentee's situation. Listening could also be by watching the person and taking in the information, but essentially trying to know as much about the mentee as possible so that they are giving them the right kind of advice. And a good mentor will also not just make it easy for you all the way, it will throw some challenges your way so that it builds your ability to handle tough situations and it gives you necessary encouragement. So one of the things I always say in the mentoring and coaching relationship is that there must be a lot of cordiality in the relationship. You're not likely to learn from somebody who you have an adversarial relationship with. So if the relationship is not working, that means you might actually have a very good coach, but you may not get good coaching outcomes. And where all these things are not working, the thing to do is to probably look for another coach. But don't forget, it's not always the coach's fault or the mentor's fault. It might also be your fault. So you need to also look inward and see if you are the one who is not taking the lessons.
That's something to think about. So if it's not working, it's either the coach is not doing or you are not doing. That gives me the impression that everybody has responsibilities in a coaching engagement. So I'd like to know what should be one's disposition and responsibilities as a mentee in a coaching or mentoring engagement.
Well, the first thing is to get into the relationship. So if you're looking for a coach, for example, you start, like I said, knowing what you want to achieve, what's your goal, what's your preferred outcome from that relationship. Then you go and research people who can give you that thing. You research it by using internet, talking to people in the industry or whatever, so that you can now shortlist the most viable people to coach you. Then you look at the options they offer you before you now engage the coach that you prefer. In the case of a mentor, essentially you start with a goal as well, but these are the things to do. Your mentor might actually most likely be somebody already in your network. It could be family. Many of us have had mentors in our families, like maybe an uncle who just picked interest in helping us do better. It could be your father or your mother. It could be any such person. It could also be a friend. It could even be a younger person than you. So don't assume that a mentor has to be older. It just has to be more experienced and more capable than you in that industry. Then when you have looked at your networks and found somebody suitable, you approach the person and try to build a relationship. There are times it happens by design, which is what we are suggesting to you now if you want to thrive. But there are times you just run into somebody and you hit it off and the person starts sharing those skills with you. One thing about mentoring is that it's not a one-off thing. So as you go along, you will keep making adjustments and making improvements to your plan.
Thank you. Wow, interesting. So I see your responsibility starts with searching for the right coach. And then you must engage and be coachable. Otherwise, you make the job of the coach or mentor very difficult. So everything that has a beginning must have an end. So when do you say mission accomplished? It is done.
Okay. Don't forget that we're all work in progress. But usually in a coaching relationship, you will have agreed to maybe a particular number of sessions. So by the time you do the last session, that's the end of the coaching relationship. Now, that doesn't mean you will have achieved the level of competence you hoped for, but you will have walked away with certain lessons that you can now use to improve yourself. But with a mentor, don't forget that mentoring doesn't really have like a contract that says, hey, we have to meet 2 times a week. We have to do that. Mentoring relationship is involuntary, so to speak. So one of the ways you know that a mentoring relationship is about to fizzle out is when you discover that your conversations are not meaningful. They are flat. There's no substance to it. Or you find yourself talking about other matters. Oh, the weather. Oh, the politics. But you're not addressing that professional or life issue that brought you guys together. That could be a pointer that your mentoring relationship is about to end. Another one is every one of you, both of you find that you are too busy to even schedule meetings or hold conversations. Usually, or you find that both parties are not committed anymore. When such happens, then mentoring is coming to an end. But even where the coaching and mentoring comes to an end, that's not where you stop. As the person who wishes to thrive, you have to do certain things. One of the first things you do is to first say, okay, what are the new insights I've gotten out of this relationship? And like I always say, try to document them. Because by documenting them, you make it something that you can focus more on. Okay, so in my relationship with this coach, I learned to first develop a routine before I go into my golf swing, instead of just going there and doing it. So I now start thinking, okay, what kind of routine should I work, or what kind of routine works with me? I can try different routines, maybe shake my head 3 times before I address the ball, or something that I just know works with me and makes my swing better. Then the next thing you must do is to actually test that. Okay, am I better at this thing that I've learned to do? If it's, like I use the golf thing example, if you find that you're now making less mistakes because of what you have learned, it means you have moved a few steps forward, and that's a good thing. You also try and look at, okay, are there any habits changes I'm making because of this? Usually in a mentor relationship, your habits are supposed to change. Perhaps before you started the mentor relationship, you used to be impatient, you used to be that, and you find that you're now a more patient person, or you are now sure that patience is more effective to get your job done. That is a very effective outcome. You might also note that your goals the goals you set earlier were not appropriate for your vision, because you now know more things. It means you can also adjust your goals accordingly. And when you now adjust your goals, you now determine what are the next steps I should take, with which you can now use to update your plans. Don't forget, we've also had videos on planning, goal setting, and habits. So all these things work together to help us to thrive. And don't forget, I always say this, always be conscious.
Thank you so much. You've just said we're all work in progress. Learning is lifelong. I'm sure Oprah Winfrey didn't have to keep going back to Maya, but she kept implementing, and so implementation is key. And there must be a change. You must start seeing a change to know that the mentoring or coaching engagement has been successful. As usual, honestly, I've had an amazing time with our able coach, Tony. Thank you for giving so much value again today. And thank you all for watching. Please check out our other videos. Subscribe to Live and Thrive on our YouTube channel. Like, comment, and share. Bye-bye now.